And I think the Mishi is sitting in a good spot to qualify, but it very well could come down to his performance in this last game on whether or not he makes it. So that'll be exciting to watch. In the meantime, in a few moments here, we will hop into Bannered Bastion against Arbuz in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so also from this round, spawning in the south, Bannered Bastion against his opponent in the upper left, Arbuz. All right, so Arbuz still staying strong, not taking moles, while Bannered Bastion has elected to.
Yeah, usually some players, myself included, don't enjoy just going whatever the other guy goes to stop them. I like to try to figure things out, try to see if I can beat their strategy instead of just going straight into theirs.
I think there's a fine line in the game between like just following along with the strategy, and then because in Tooth and Tail you really can't go into every game with the same plan, apparently, unless you're taking moles. But you can't go into every game thinking like, I'm going to cheese every game, or I'm going to macro every game, and all that stuff, because the maps are random, and so you kind of have to make those adjustments. But in general, I couldn't agree more, because I like to take some of the less popular units and just see what you can make happen with them. So snag some mines here and there, bring along that wolf that we haven't seen any of today, and just see what magic you can make happen. So Arbuz taking a very small early farm lead. It really doesn't matter at this point in the game. Generally, both players hopping up to 8 farms, and Arbuz electing to get that early MG. I'm not sure if he's been watching the stream. He might know that Bannered Bastion has been favoring moles, so maybe that MG is just to hold off the potential incoming mole push. If so, I like it, because I think that an MG might be just the trick in DPS to help take those crazy little guys out.
It's interesting that he chose to put that Warren on the front line there. I don't think depending on where Bannered Bastion attacks from, he actually just ends up selling the MG anyway, so never mind.
But it still could be. It's tough to ride the line between having a strong defense and losing all your Warrens, because sometimes losing your Warrens, really, it's not the worst thing in the world economically, but if your opponent takes a pretty good early engagement and then re-engages shortly after, losing Warrens can be a major problem just because of the resupply time. It takes a while to get those units back, and so even if you have the money to rebuild them, if your opponent pushes before those units are out, you can sometimes end up losing the game. So Arbuz kind of building he's creeping out with his Warrens, just building a further and further defensive line out there, possibly gearing up for a mole push. We see Bannered is maybe banking some food. What is he going to do?
Yeah, it's reaching that timing. We're about 240, and let's see if he goes out. Oh, he's putting down an MG, maybe deciding not to.
Okay, possibly opting out of the moles. But I mean, as we've seen from the previous games, a strong, scary mole push can pretty much happen at any time. And so he seems to have decided not to do, unless he sells that. Maybe going for his tier 3 Badger. We'll see. So he seems to have decided to do that instead. We may even still see some moles along with this Badger as little tanks, but he's going for the early Badger against Arbuz, who has decided to get an expansion instead.
Yeah, that's an interesting timing. Usually when you're going for that tier 3, you try to do it in a time where the other player can't get ahead of you in other areas. In this case, Arbuz is getting ahead in army, and by the time that Badger comes out, Arbuz could have a response in a bigger army because of his eco advantage, but we'll see. Yeah, he's even grabbing a tier 3 himself to respond, and I think Bannered Bastion might not have enough.
It looks like, based on the timing, it looks like Arbuz's Badger is going to be almost exactly 40 seconds behind Bannered, but Bannered actually didn't save up enough, so every second this Badger isn't being built is a closer timing for when Arbuz's Badger is going to be out. So if his Badger built as soon as the Warren finished, they would have been about 40 seconds apart, but now I'd put it closer to 30, and as you said, every second is going to matter here, because Arbuz is definitely getting into a good spot, being up effectively 13 farms to 8 with that campfire.
I don't know if Arbuz spotted those 2 moles building on the high ground. He sort of went on the slope, but I don't think he saw it. Wow, I think Bannered Bastion is banking on Arbuz going for a tier 3 in response to his tier 3, and he's going to push in that sort of middle timing, or he's going to wait for his own Badger to come out in about 10 seconds.
That would be a really weird anti-timing if he pushes in before this Badger is like 1 second from being finished. But again, I mean, he is on a very tight timing here. make something happen. Arbuz's Badger is about half finished. Yeah, he's deciding to take out that Gristmill. I'm not sure if he's hoping for an expansion or if that's just going to be kind of some additional tankiness for this incoming push from Bannered Bastion. He's moving in. He is posturing, getting ready for this fight with a ton of moles. I didn't even see how many it was, but he's got this Badger sitting in the back line, unloading, getting that DPS up, and taking out these Warrens. And that engagement generally went really well, but Arbuz's Badger is now out as well. Let's see, in the Badger against Badger fight, who manages to loses it early to those Falcons. That is a painful loss, and that might spell the end of this game number 1. That is a tough engagement there.
Wow, that sucks that he lost that Badger there. He could have potentially held on if he didn't lose it. He was in a tough spot from losing all of those Warrens, but he could have been. Wow, that that was some really good random focus fire by killing that Badger. Wow.
Yeah, that was it those Falcons that knocked it down so quickly? That flying advantage just really must have paid off right there, because I think the Badger is like, before he even knew what happened, he had no health and she was gone. Okay, do we want to hop into this game number 2, see if Arbuz can even it out?
I'm ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, in game number 2, spawning in the upper middle area, we've got Bannered Bastion up 1-0 series against his opponent, Arbuz, looking to even it out. Changing up his tier 3 choice, going for that 2 tier 3, deciding to, I think he had a MGs in his last deck, so opting out of the structures, deciding they didn't really do much for him, and going to go for this sort of, we haven't seen it play out much, but I think it's sort of an either or tier 3 strategy. So if the game goes on long enough, we'll see if that's what it ends up being.
We're seeing a bit of a difference in. Wait, I'm confused by this machine gun nest in the back of his base. I guess he's. I don't know. I guess it's just a precaution, just in case Arbuz was going to attempt maybe a early mole and try to pick off this really edge farm.
Yeah, it could have been
the only reason
Arbuz
I can
here.
imagine.
Yeah, and Arbuz here sitting on 4 farms, so I think that must have been it. So Bannered saw that Arbuz was on 4 farms. He assumed it was going to be moles, and then he further assumed that Arbuz would probably put them in the rear of his base. That's my best guess at what was going on in the head of Bannered Bastion at the time. But he sells it off anyway, and despite going for the 4 farms, I mean, they're on 4 farms to 5. Arbuz is getting this campfire, but they're on completely equal army supplies, so it's sort of an underwhelming rush, if that is the goal, and he's going to kind of relent and start to build up some farms instead.
Are you seeing this hilarious map, though? Like, Bannered has this hilltop base surrounded by mills all around him, and then Arbuz is on this little island. This looks like a campaign map or something.
This does look pretty painful. I mean, like, if you just kind of zoom out and look at it, it's just kind of like, oh my god, what is this? It does look like a campaign map. It's like, you get this campfire, Arbuz, but nothing else. You can literally not do anything else in this game. And so, yeah, he's going to have to make something happen, because there's a pretty low chance he's going to be able to hold any of these mills. I mean, maybe this one on the upper left-hand side, but it's still such a long rush distance that Bannered would be able to hit it in one place and then quickly circle around and hit it in the other.
And Bannered already starting with his first mole. Arbuz sees it. Man, this is a really low eco game so far. Not even at 8 farms. Only at 5 for each player.
Yeah, there's a lot of posturing here. He must be giving each player the impression that some big attack is coming. And so looks like they're going to try to do it using this campfire to tank a little bit. Arbuz is going to engage with these scrolls. He's going to lose that campfire. They're on equal farms now. And with these Warrens to tank, he may be able to hold off. These pigeons are giving high ground vision. So Bannered Bastion is not able to kind of capitalize on the positional advantage there, and he's going to push him back. I think that engagement turned out pretty equal overall. Arbuz maybe lost out a bit because losing that campfire, keeping that campfire would have been nice, but Bannered ends up destroying it. So sitting on completely equal economy right now, and just about equal tier 1 units. So we're seeing these pigeons sticking around in the composition of Arbuz. So clearly, in his opinion, they're still working, and I still like pigeons. They're fun little units. It's nice to have some healing. They seem to make things last, and they're just going to continue fighting around these campfires right here, taking a little dip in the lake, shooting across at Bannered, keeping the pressure on, making sure that he doesn't go up to these farms, because meanwhile, Arbuz has managed to sneak up to 7 farms to 5, so effectively 8 farms to 5 now at that campfire.
And I like that little pick off. Arbuz did. He knows has an advantage with the pigeons, so he can pick off a few squirrels while keeping his alive with the pigeons. Ooh. Almost losing his
Yeah, that's true. That's
there.
some really good awareness. And honestly, this is... I'm not sure. Let's see what Arbuz's vision's like. Yeah, he hasn't really seen the map, so he hasn't seen how crazy difficult it will be for him economically. But whether he's doing it intentionally or not, he's playing it the right way because he's keeping so much pressure on Bannered Bastion that Bannered's not able to get any kind of a forward fortified position to keep Arbuz in his base, and he's keeping Banner on one base. It doesn't matter how many gristmills surround you. If you've got the enemy right at your doorstep, you're not going to be able to take them. And so he's just going to keep this pressure on. He's going to kind of move out across this water. He's just trying to get a little bit of safe scouting information. Bannerd's going to sniff this out and start moving across and take this campfire. And we've got this base trade-ish situation is going to pan out better for Arbuz because your whole base is better than a campfire. But getting right in the middle of all these pigs may or may not pan out well. And sure enough, it's going to go very poorly for Arbuz as he loses all of his squirrels to that.
Yeah, I'm confused by Arbuz's attack there. He decided to go for the MG rather than hitting the back of the base where farms were. I guess they all died already, but yeah, not the best.
Yeah, I think he might have been a little more well served if he circled around even further and just went to that very exposed backside of Bannerd's base, and he's going to take that series 2-0.
I wonder if I on my end I added in a fake replay file to show a fake game 3, so maybe people can see that coming.
Nice, yeah, take that, chat. I think Arbuz has been in chat, kind of like spoiling the results for us. So despite our best efforts, I'm not sure. And sorry about that, Arbuz. Hey man, I think stay strong. You stick with your strategies, man.